Got to get the link. Oh, shoot, I hate when I do that. Okay.
I would love to be able to email this to myself. I wonder if I can.
One of these days this weekend, I'm going to create a page on my website for these shows so that people can find them and check stuff out. Why is all of a sudden so irritating? Oh, that's why. All right.
Okay, I was hoping that I could email this one to myself, but I don't know that I can. Okay. Okay. This is going to be interesting today, ladies. All right,
Yeah.
So we're live on YouTube. Good morning, ladies. How are you doing? And welcome to our little dream circle interpretation group today. This is going to be really fun. Okay, so we're going to just go around the circle. We're going to tell who we are. We're going to introduce ourselves, tell you how to get a hold of us if you are interested in connecting with any of us. Cherry, we'll go ahead and start with you. Tell us who you are, where you're at in this world, and how people can reach you.
Hey, my name is Sherry Huss. I live in Alliance, Nebraska, and typically people either text me through Messenger on Facebook, or it's on Spirit Closure with Sherry. It's a Facebook group. So yeah, do I need to explain what I do, or just my name?
Just a quick little blurb.
Quick blurb. I'm a psychic medium. I do tarot and oracle readings and healing.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you're here today. Lisa, give us a little blurb about you.
Well, hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Lisa Betts Marquez, and I live in Gearing, Nebraska. And I work with people who want to uncover those layers that are holding them back from their authentic self and living their truth and their empowerment. And I do that through a number of different ways. I teach yoga, meditation, breath work. I also have my own modality, archetypal gesture, that I have created. And I work with Reiki and neuro-linguistic programming as well. And you can work with me in person or on Zoom, and you can find me at prairieartsyoga.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And Michelle, the starter of our group here, tell us a little bit about you and how they can get a hold of you.
I'm Michelle, and right now I am kind of in traveling mode. So the best place to get a hold of me is on my website, which is healingwithmichelleadams.com, or on Facebook. My page is healingwithmichelleadams.com. And then I'm a psychic empath, and I work with the Akashic Records to do healings for the spirit and soul.
Nice. Well, and I'm Althea Mitchell. I'm out of Riverton, Wyoming. I own Direct Emotions. I'm certified in the emotion code. That is an ability to let us to quickly identify the trapped emotions that keep you blocked in certain areas, or work around aspects of trauma to help you feel better, really. And so you can get a hold of me through Messenger on Facebook, of course, or you can follow me on the Direct Emotion Facebook page, or you can get a hold of me at the website directemotion.com. And today we are talking about dreams. This seemed to be a quite popular one. All of us seem to enjoy it. And we actually have a couple of dreams today that we're going to be reading. So this is going to be kind of fun and interesting. I hope you ladies are ready. Okay, so there is one dream that I'm going to start out with. Okay, I'm going to do my best to omit names just to make sure that nobody is exposed or anything like that. That way we can talk freely about the dreams without anything. So the very first dream that we're going to start with is I am waiting in line at a store with a bag of donations to give, but it isn't a secondhand store. I somehow know it is for my 6th grade teacher. Someone I know is one of my childhood bullies, but doesn't look like anyone I know, wants to cut in line. I won't let him, and I say I have to get this done by the end of business day today. The next thing I know, I'm running out of the store while cops are running in. I point out to the cops another childhood bully of mine, yelling, "It's him! He's who you're looking for." They ignore me and keep running to the back part of the store. Now I am running out of the store, and so is he, but also running from the cops. I am trying to find my car in a fenced off parking lot, while also looking in my pocket for a knife to defend myself. Suddenly, an old high school friend is next to me, and I wake up. Curious, right? Lots of stuff going on in this particular one, which I'm kind of excited to delve into. Michelle, let's start with you. What is some interpretations that you are getting, things that we can understand from this dream?
So the first thing I got was like when he's reflecting the energy, like that's the pointing out a different person, was like reflecting energy away from you, from something you might be doing, that your psyche's trying to tell you that it's probably not right. And so he's trying to reflect that energy to somebody else versus himself.
Curious, because that self-reflection, if you ladies all agree, most of the time when things like this happen, it is to point out a quality that we need to work on or address within ourselves. Lisa, what's your take on this particular dream?
So standing in line to me illustrates being sort of controlled, forced. This is what you should be doing, right? This is like the thing. And your 3rd grade teacher probably played a big role in that programming of your, this is how we do life. This is how we stand in line, right? It's all the right thing to do. So I would I think the 3rd grade a reference point has to do with going back to that time in your life and thinking about what you were taught and what was happening in your life. If you were being bullied, then in what ways were you not showing up for yourself and standing in your power and in your truth then? And how is that pattern being reflected in today's world, today's life? And I totally agree that with Michelle, that this is also that deflection of it's his fault. The police are like, we're not here for you. And that suggests to me that you have to solve your own problem. And you're wrong that it's not his fault. It's only you. So when you leave the store and you're looking for your car always symbolizes the journey of life. Your car is your journey. And you are trying to get onto that path that is yours alone, but there's this barricade and you're prevented, right? And then at the same time you're being prevented, you're looking for something to defend yourself with. And that knife isn't going to help you cut through the barrier. There's no one to poke or defend yourself against. It's only like, trying to do battle with windmills. There's nothing really there to fight. So for me, the overarching meaning of this dream is you are your own person that you are fighting against. Go back to 3rd grade, see what you learned, see what needs to be unlearned, see what skills you didn't have then that you need now, or that you have now and use them, or go back and heal the wounds from 3rd grade that have carried through and continue this pattern, and take control of that. And then you'll be able to access your journey, get in your car and drive and be navigating your own life instead of the bullies and the standing in line and doing what everyone else tells you to do.
Well, and just one small correction. Sorry, Lisa. I apologize. It's the 6th grade teacher, so I apologize, but the meanings are still the same, you know? So Cherry, what is your interpretation of this dream? This is very curious to me.
I kind of come at it as a child development view. The 6th grade is typically when young women, especially, start to lose their confidence, and they start taking in all of the outside influences and internalizing, okay, this makes me a good person, this makes me an attractive person, a popular person, what have you. The fact that the bullies are in line with them, I feel like there might have been some protection from that teacher, or some kind of guidance that they're kind of remembering or working through in their dream state. I agree with the fact that standing in line is doing what you're supposed to do, and that's kind of where you learn the rules of society. The bullies, they're in line, but they're not able to get to them. This person, it kind of just talks to me about realizing that that's an external force that they don't have to internalize anymore. The fact that they're running out the door, they probably felt very chased by whatever these bullies did to them for a long time. And it feels to me like they're trying to resolve that and realize that they can get away from this now and cut themselves free of it, and they don't have to go back to that anymore, maybe.
Well, and I think all of that is correct. So there's a couple of things that I'm getting from this that kind of just stick out to me. One of them is that the person is in line with a bag of donations to give. I find this very interesting because, as an aspect of ourselves, we always want to be able to give, right? We want to be able to give, we want to be able to nurture and that kind of stuff, but it's not to a secondhand store. I found that very interesting because of the plain fact, usually when we are giving away old stuff, we usually give it to somebody else who apparently needs our old stuff, right? But this isn't at a secondhand store. So it's kind of, are you giving the things away in your life to something that really doesn't matter or holds no significance? Are you just trying to get rid of things that really hold no value or significance anymore? And the other thing that I find just fascinating in that particular 2 sentences is that they're trying to do it for somebody else. They're trying to do it somehow. I know it's for my 6th grade teacher. That's interesting. Somebody who you're giving away stuff that is really of no value. And so I find that very interesting because there's a lot of times in our lives when we find people that don't want our stuff, really. And we try to really make this happen, which is one of the things that I think that led up to the whole, that's him, trying to make somebody take some of our stuff away from it. But the other thing that I find interesting is there's 2 authority figures mentioned, the teacher and the cops. So there is some of this searching for understanding on a very deep level from higher self that needs to come through. I think the car in the fenced off parking lot is what stands out to me in this, because how many times do we put our own barriers up? How many times do we tie our own shoelaces together? And so we're running out and we're looking for our car and we see it, but it's in a fenced parking lot. And we're like, okay, so which would be the story of my life. Anytime, I don't need anybody to sabotage me. I do it very well myself. So as you work through those kind of things of, is this really self-sabotage? Is this really somebody trying to wake you up to your own understanding of how to let go of things properly? Perhaps. I find it interesting also that there is a knife in there because it's a weapon of choice. How many times has this person had that weapon used against them, only in turn to wield it against somebody else? So patterns that are being passed on, things like that kind of stand out to me. So it's fun because of the plain fact that it's like, what are you choosing to do with it? Michelle, what do you think they're choosing to do with this dream?
So It's an interesting question. So choosing to do it this dream, I think what they're trying to figure out what their life is really about. Because it was interesting, because you mentioned the knife again, and I didn't even catch that the first time, but when you mentioned it again, I was like, okay, it was a knife. It wasn't a gun where you can shoot long distance, but a knife, you have to see that person face to face almost in close quarters in order to do any damage. So why do you need them here in front of you for you to hurt them? Are thinking you need to protect yourself with close quarters within your own boundaries versus at a distance.
Very interesting. So choosing to change his life or her life. Lisa, what is your take on that? What do you think they're really trying to choose to do with this dream? You're muted, by the way.
Thank you. I believe that this dream is guiding this person to heal old wounds associated with that time in their life, and to look back on how they were perhaps unable to stand up for themselves then, and how that may have created a pattern for their life up until now. And even this considering that maybe they think that the way to stand up is to get a knife and do battle, but there might be other ways that are a lot more powerful, that are not violent, and that will help you to dematerialize, so to speak, that fence that's preventing you from getting into your vehicle and taking control of your own life's path. So I feel like this is really clear to me, that it's about healing old wounds, not looking toward others to do anything to make it better. It's your responsibility. You have to do this, and it's only you that can do it. And once you are able to do that, and the knife is going to be useless, because this is not how you solve problems or do healing, is through aggression and violence. It is to do the inner work. And I think that 6th grade and the teacher, there are some clues in there for this person, that there are some answers to be found there. And I feel like the car is being shown like it's so close. You can see it, but you can't quite get there. So in order for you to get where you want to go, you have to deal with this stuff that's behind the fence. And then you'll be able to get in there and take control of your journey.
Terry, last thoughts on this dream? What do you think they're trying to do with it?
Well, once again, standing in line to me feels passive and frustrating. You think of a big Walmart line and you instantly tense up. So I think that 6th grade is kind of a time where they start really working with you on how to handle conflict with others and interpersonal communications. So I'm wondering, because this person had a knife, it doesn't say a sword, it doesn't say a machete, that would be more aggressive. This person to me is starting to understand they can chip away at this problem little by little while still protecting themselves, and retreat is not necessarily giving up. It's kind of getting away enough from the problem to deal with it. And then they might feel frustration because they finally get a little fresh air, and then they realize, like what I missed earlier, you're in that blocked off parking lot. Your vehicle of escape is there, and you do have a little bit of protection for yourself, but you're frustrated because you've blocked yourself in with all of this. And to me, I just wonder if there's not somebody in her life that she's associating, like if she traced it back, maybe that bully reminds her of someone in the workplace or in her family that she's struggling, to deal with.
Well, and I think all of that is right. It is, whenever we have dreams like that, where there are certain aspects, then it's like, sometimes it is just stepping back long enough to get that fresh perspective of, okay, and now I'm going to go over here. We're going to try this way. So I think the ability to remember, like when we go to approach things in our life and challenges, like how do we handle them? I mean, this is always a choice. Okay, so our next dream is, and please forgive me, this is, I'm going to be reading this one off my phone. Okay, so in my dream, there was a storm brewing. There were black clouds rumbling, and then there started to be tons of lightning strikes coming from one cloud, but they were rainbow colored. And then a rainbow horizontally started forming under the black clouds as the lightning continued. Then tornadoes started forming in the black cloud. And then all of a sudden, there were other tornadoes on the other side of the sky. And I was trying to find a place in the basement to go and was asking blank which room we should go in, but we stayed watching the storm instead. That's what I'd end up doing. And prior to having the dream, I was having a hard time sleeping, so I was working on my chakras and fell asleep. When I was just going to start working on my throat chakra, so I'm just very interested with the storm cloud that was with the rainbow lightning that had to do with, since I've been working on my chakras. But there was a storm in the cloud, so I'm interested to see what is found out. So we got a big storm brewing. We've got rainbow strikes. This is interesting. And then tornadoes. Okay, so Lisa, let's start with you. What is your interpretation here?
Well, there is a storm brewing, not only perhaps individually for this person, but obviously in the collective, we're all dealing with a storm. And there are definitely more clouds forming. So I took this as a very positive dream. So when the rainbow lightning strikes came down, that just confirmed for me, and I'm getting goosebumps here, that these storms and these lightning bolts that are coming down are actually activations for the collective and for those who are ready for them, and probably for this individual. So all these rainbow lightning strikes are, electric, energetic, they correspond to chakras, but the rainbow itself is always a symbol of God's promise. And so I'm so thrilled to hear that that not only are these lightning strikes coming from God as a promise for healing and a clear day ahead eventually once all the storm is over, but the fact that we have the rainbow horizontally coming out kind of reminded me of like a blanket, that this horizontal rainbow is going to cover the whole earth perhaps, and it's going to spread. So these little lightning strikes, can be like seeds that are coming down and being planted in all the people. And then the tornadoes that were there present, is that this is kind of how the energy feels right now. There's chaos, right? There's a lot of these little storms happening, but ultimately it's all about God's promise and a blanketing of the rainbow energy. And so if you study metaphysics, you're going to eventually come to this concept of the rainbow body, and how ultimately eventually those yogis and sages and great holy beings that leave their bodies without death they become rainbows. It's hard to explain if you're not really too read up on it, but this whole concept of the rainbow and becoming a rainbow ourselves, and we do have rainbows in our chakras, right? This is very positive. And the basement reference, I have a theory about that, but I'm going to let someone else address it, and we'll see if they come up with a similar idea that I have. Okay.
Okay. All right, Michelle, let's go to you. What is your take on this dream?
So my take on this dream was really actually very positive when I first heard it, especially when you started talking about this person was working through their chakras, and then the rainbows, because the rainbows all represent, they're all the colors of our chakras. And so I was like, oh, so you're working through. So it's telling me that that this person's chakras are very open, they're very aligned, and they're going to help protect them on no matter what storm is going out there for around them, that they're going to be well protected. You know, and then with the basement, that's always the foundation of everything that we do. So it's the security, it's the, again, it goes like you're going to be protected because that basement is that security, it's that foundation, it's that you're stable, you're set.
Very good, very good. All right, and Cherry, what is your take on this particular dream?
Boy, I felt like the lightning bolts were activations and clearings because lightning is nature's way of clearing heavy energy from the earth. So I do feel like her work that she put, or him or her, this person put in meditation was definitely honored, I guess. To me, black, I think if I remember like middle school art class, I think black is like all colors combined. I don't think it's the absence of all color. I think that's white. Anyway, to me, it just felt like everything was like so congested, and that's probably why it felt dark to her. The tornadoes come through, and that's a way of sucking out all that negativity and all of that up from her. The fact that she was in the basement tells me that it was just a very safe place, and they're watching all of this happening. But it's from a very disconnected standpoint, not disconnected like bad. I just mean you can observe non-judgmentally and just witness what's going on. And so that might have just been, I don't know how to say it, a way for her to understand that that debris had been cleared out and that those chakras are in alignment again. And she's probably going to feel a lot better when she woke up, hopefully.
That's what I hope too. Okay, well, and you know, isn't it interesting? Okay, so there's a couple of things that kind of stand out to me. All right, so my feeling has always been when you see a basement in a dream, it's a representation of no longer hiding your stuff. It's always been something that represents like when you see the basement, it's time to get everything out. It is time. So the storm brewing represents to me like it's time. This is stuff that's been underlying. That's why the rumbles, it's been underlying. So being able to work through it, that's where the rainbow strikes come out, is you're actually working through them processes. It can be with relationships, it can be with family, it can be with friends, it can be with children. And it can be all this inner work that is finally coming out that is actually resolved and level. That's what the rainbow horizontally represents to me. Now, it's very interesting because it feels like even in this dream, there's going to be balance. So even though that there is this rainbow horizontally, that is kind of like the protection layer. After we work through our stuff, it's this fresh, renewed strength, really, you know, and it comes through and it kind of just covers. And even though there's other clouds that are brewing, tornadoes, which is a much more powerful storm, it tells me that the strength is going to be there to solve, to resolve, to heal, to chill, all of those kind of things. And so I think it's a very powerful dream. So I hope that through that dream interpretation, it's one of encouragement. That's what I'm hoping for. Did you have something to add, Lisa?
Mm-hmm. I just want to piggyback a bit on what Sherry said regarding standing there and observing, because it's interesting because I think that this dream has a dual meaning. It's not just about this individual dreamer. It is literally, I think, about the collective experience that we are all having and the guidance that I think is being given with her choice to stand and observe. And I'm so like that too. I'm like, look at those clouds. But that is a superpower in this crazy, chaotic world we're in. And it's the one that I have been using the most, which is to stand back in my totality of who I am and watch it all unfolding like a movie. All of the news, all of the posts, all of the reports, all of the things. And I just observe it, I note it, And then I go into my basement, which is kind of the way I think of it, is like meditating in a dark place. Like I sit with it, meditate, and then I go into that place and then I ask for the answers that I need regarding whatever it is I observed that day. Is this true? Should I do this? Is that for me? Right?
Mm.
And I get answers. So I felt like the basement, I love what you said about it, Althea, and I'm going to hang on to that idea for other uses in the future. But the fact that she was just aware that it was there and she could go there anytime, I felt a sense of peacefulness there in the basement, and going into your foundation, the root chakra, and finding your answers for yourself after you observe with this distance, emotional distance, like it's a movie being, projected on the big sky. So.
Well, very good. Well, it sounds like a very encouraging dream. I think it's awesome. It's particular fascinating to me when people dream in color.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that you can see that it was rainbow, I'd be like, well, it was zebra stripe. No. So I think that is really fabulous. Okay. So here is the next one. All right. So I dreamed I was a mom in my 30s. I was at a mountain retreat. We were there with my two younger sons, 13 and 14. The older son around 17 and friends of his. Oh, I'm sorry, and a friend of his. I came downstairs to get them for dinner. They were in high spirits and were a bit reluctant to come up. I felt like they were hiding something. So I got them upstairs and started looking around the basement, which is big. So I looked in a dark corner in the back and I saw an Oriental man with no shirt on, ragged pants, and no shoes on. It was wintertime during the family retreat. He was tied up and beaten. He looked so scared. I knew I had to set him free. That the kids had kidnapped him, very emotional. I got him loose, and somehow I knew he was the engineer who had built the house. He moved a trap and went down a short tunnel. There he pushed on some levers that were supposed to release water. I could see on the outside how they worked. They were these 4 round stone cylinders, 2 on each side, and they pushed out to release the excess water. There was no water in the tunnel, so the guy was able to go through the rest of the tunnel to freedom. I later saw him outside dressed, but with no coat on. We looked at each other, didn't say anything. I knew he would be okay. This is a very interesting dream. Lots of aspects in it. Terry, we're going to start with you. What is your take on this? She's like, oh man.
I was really hoping I had a few more seconds to think about that one.
I'd like you to read it again. I know that sounds like a long dream,
Yeah.
but there was so much going on in that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I dreamed I was a mom in my 30s. I was at a family mountain retreat. We were there with my 2 younger sons, 13 and 14. The older son around 17 and a friend of his. I came downstairs to get them for dinner. They were in high spirits and were a bit reluctant to come up. I felt like they were hiding something. So I got them upstairs and started looking around the basement, which is big. So I looked in a dark corner in the back. I saw an Oriental man with no shirt on, ragged pants, and no shoes on. It was wintertime during this family retreat. He was tied up and beaten. He looked so scared. I knew I had to set him free. That the kids had kidnapped him, very emotional. I got him loose, and somehow I knew he was the engineer who had built the house. He moved a trap and went down a short tunnel. There he pushed on some levers that were supposed to release water. I could see on the outside how they worked. They were these 4 round stone cylinders, 2 on each side, and they pushed out to release excess water. There was no water in the tunnel, so the guy was able to go through the rest of the tunnel to freedom. I later saw him outside, dressed, but with no coat on. We looked at each other, didn't say anything, but I knew he would be okay. All right, Cherry, you are up now.
Okay, I need to take as I'm talking, I need to go into the other room because my daughter came home unexpectedly. Well, God, I don't really know. My guess is that there's probably some emotional stuff that's come up with her and her teenagers, maybe, they're trying to work through. I mean, that is a total stab. But water to me, when I do my cards and stuff, always talks about emotions. And the fact that this person was kidnapped, like there's some vulnerability there, maybe that she's feeling was maybe stuck or tied up. I don't know, but that maybe wasn't resolved, that maybe now is or getting there. I have no idea. And the only thing I can guess is the age of this gentleman and the condition might be maybe how it made her feel in the spirit of the home even. I'm not really sure.
Very interesting. Okay, and I'm going to let you know, you kind of look like you're in witness protection. There, that light right behind you or whatever is just not enough that we can see your face. Too bad I don't have one of those voice changers. That would have looked, would have been awesome. Okay, so Michelle, we're going to go to you on this one. What are your thoughts?
So it was interesting that the tied up and everything was happening in the basement again, which is the foundation, the security, the first chakra, where everything is built upon, your safety. So I was like going, maybe there's something there that this person needs to release, some tension that is building. And then it was interesting because the water is also the flow of life. So with it being in the basement and underneath, where is the life flow not flowing within the foundation for this person to go up and to feel safe and secure in what's going on in this world today?
I think, yeah.
The fact that there was kids and that stuff involved, I don't think that really is a very significant in this. I think that was a minor details. I think the more significance was the person being tied up for like boundaries or, feeling stuck, not able to move on your own. The fact that it's in the basement for safety and security, and the lack of water flow. Because when they mentioned that the tunnels and they pushed the levers, but yet there was no water flow, then it's like, wait a minute here, if there was supposed to be water flow in there and there wasn't, then your life flow is not moving.
I think that is very interesting. Lisa, what's your take on it?
So the architect of the house, that means that an architect is a builder and a designer, and that person is trapped in the basement. That being to me, the Asian man who is being held hostage it's symbolic of the creation of the secrets. He represents secrets that are in this person's basement, that are being held there, bound there. They're dirty. Okay, they're dirty secrets. They're very emotional for this dreamer. I think that the boys are significant, but not because they are in the living boys that she may have, that they represent, are not necessarily associated directly with these secrets, but more about the ages. So 13, 14, 17. I feel like this dreamer maybe has some buried experiences that are painful and bound up, that she hasn't fully remembered, but her subconscious is trying, her higher self is preparing her to address some things in her past that are being held and bound, and they're not going to be pretty. That's just my sense of this. And so it's a preparation dream for doing this kind of work that will possibly be quite emotional for her. And yet currently, and the fact that they exist and they're unhealed is keeping her true emotions, her ability to feel emotions and to be in the flow of her authentic feelings and emotions, possibly regarding relationships, or to herself, even to her own maybe family of origin or her foundation herself. Currently the water is stopped up, and even though he's moving levers and he's trying to do something with the water, it's not coming. And so when this secret comes out and is in the light of day, and she can look that secret right in the eyes and acknowledge that it exists, that's like that's the journey of healing that she is being prepared for. And
Wow,
so
sorry.
it's a pretty incredible dream, I think.
You know, it is like there is a lot going on in this particular dream. Okay, so I'm going to take this approach for this dream. Okay, so the very first number in there was 30. 30 is divine service. Okay, so ladies, kind of keep these meanings in mind, because I'm going to be asking you a question here in just a minute. The next number is 2. 2 is witness, confirmation, and division. Okay, so we've got divine service, witness, confirmation, and division. The number 13 represents rebellion, backsliding, and atonement. The number 14 represents perfect witness. This is interesting, okay? Number 17 is perfection of spiritual order. Now that one is powerful to me because it kind of fits in a lot with what you're saying, Lisa. Number 4 is the next one, universal creation, 4 seasons, the 4 directions, that kind of thing. And the very last one, 2, is again, witness, confirmation, division. So when you look at this dream with those numbers and those meanings in mind, it really does explain like there is quite a bit going on. You got a witness, you got some, because there are some witnesses mentioned in the dream, even though they are the ones that are downstairs with this other person, but the Oriental guy could also mean witness. So then there is, you know, kind of this rebellion, backsliding, and atonement that is working through like these secrets that we have, these dark places that we lock away, or that we try to flood out, or that we try to resolve, that kind of stuff. So Michelle, what are your take on some of those meanings behind those numbers in this dream?
Well, that's kind of interesting because I really don't pay attention. I mean, I kind of do pay attention to numbers, but not really. Numerology is not my thing. And so the fact that, you know, the witness and all that stuff, I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on in that dream. And there's a lot of stuff that like is positive too, along with having to work through. It's just a matter, I think, of just sorting it all through.
I think you're right. Cherry, what's your take on them numbers in this dream?
Well, when I do numerology, I typically break it down further. So like 30 would become 3. 3 to me and what I do is getting that, like, well, sometimes it can mean like a divine partnership, but balancing the masculine, feminine with the divine. 14 would become 5, which to me is change. And I don't forget the last one, 17, which is 8. That to me is a very auspicious number, and it represents infinity. And so I think you're right with your numbers though too, that maybe she's seeing some division in the spiritual community she's working with, maybe. And maybe that's kind of a foreshadowing of what's to come. Like, you're going to have to see all this crap and be a witness to it, and then help resolve it and release it. the healing.
I think that is on. I think that is spot on. Lisa, what is your thought? What your take on that with those numbers and the meanings?
Okay, so we had 30 and 13, right? So that would be 3, 4, 5, and 8. What do those add up to? 3 and 4 is 7. 7 and 5 is, I'm so not good at math.
12.
12. 3 plus 8 is 11. And 11 is a very clear number I always interpret as, yes, you are on your path. This is a divinely ordered step in your journey. You are on the path that you are meant to be on. It is time. You are protected. You are supported. You are safe. Keep going. So I think that this person, this dreamer, having listened to all of us talk about what we present, probably will have a very clear idea of what's going on. And ultimately, I think the 11 shows, hopefully encourages this person that even though there might be fear, there might be concern or worry or doubt, you're going to be all right. And my always message here in these roundtable discussions is that you don't have to do it alone. There are people here to help you, and any one of us would love to be that person, or if there's someone in your community or someone that can assist you to make sense of this process, because this is going to be a process. This is definitely a deep, deep, deep dream, and you just don't have to do it alone.
Well, it's amazing to me that there is, sometimes it's just, 3 or 4 lines, and how powerful that can be, when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I hope that this person that had that dream, like, that is very intense. So we're all in agreement that whatever is going to be going on, or that is currently going on, is going to be rather intense. It's time to buckle up, because even though it may feel bumpy and rough, you're going to be able to get through it. That's the key. I haven't seen any of these dreams ever reflecting on, like, okay, well, I guess you might as well just give up because it's never going to work. I have never, I've never seen dreams ever go in that direction. So there's always hope that it can be resolved. And it comes back to choosing a method and a manner to do it. So, I just find that was very just like, wow, this is interesting. Okay, so this next dream that we have states, I am in my childhood home. Poor person. Oh my gosh, if it was my childhood home, it was trauma. No, I'm kidding. But it doesn't look the same. Looks like you worked through it. No, I'm kidding. It just feels like it is. A man I don't know is fighting violently with me as my mom watches. Sometimes frantic, sometimes helpful. At one point, she hands me a knife. And before I can use it against the guy, he grabs my hand with the knife in it and slices his own face with it. He is laughing maniacally as he does. The blood gushing out of his face is like blood mixed with water. Then I wake up. Lisa, let's get to you on this one. This is intense, and you're muted, by the way.
Okay, so the childhood home, place of your origin, and a sense that you are there doing battle, and there's someone there that's not too helpful, that's supposed to be helpful. Mom's supposed to be a bear for you and take care of you and fight for you always. And even in a sacrificial way. And yet there's really very little support that's being given. And the knife that she does give isn't effective. And then there's no mention of what mom does after that. So I'm getting this feeling that the mom figure is disappointing, and that this person feels alone and perhaps has some dynamics to work out with mom and is trying to make sense of it. This family friend or this person that's in the home that they don't recognize could also be a symbolic of someone in real life and experience that may have represented a time when the mom was not there for this person. This could be a real experience that took place that's unhealed and needs attention, or it could just be the vehicle for showing that what this person needed, mom was unable to give. Okay. And I don't want to address the second part of that dream because of the blood part, mostly because I was processing the early part of the dream when you were reading it, and I don't have it all. It helps me to hear it twice sometimes when it's got a lot of things going on in it. So I'm going to let someone else address that.
Okay. All right. Sherry, let's start with you, or let's go to you. Start with you.
I do agree with a lot of what Lisa had to say. That was very insightful. Place of origin, and that is where you are supposed to feel the safest. And so I don't know if this is an inner child wound, that because at some point in her life, either now or back when she was living there was something that was taken from her and used against her, it feels like. And like Lisa said, mom wasn't there to protect it. And that doesn't mean that mom wasn't paying attention, maybe, but maybe mom was unaware of that, and maybe she didn't have the skills then to say what was going on. The fact that it was blood and water, to me, almost makes it feel like the experience was watered down. If there was something that she could go back and pinpoint later on, it would be maybe somebody had tried to change her reality of what had really happened, like water this wound down, because she's really looking at that in somebody else. So maybe it's even somebody mirroring a childhood wound at her, or maybe somebody's taking her power away from her with the skills that she has, to protect herself. Maybe there's a narcissist that's in her life that is taking all of her power and mirroring back old wounds at her. I don't know how else to describe that or to explain that.
Well, I think that's pretty dang good. Michelle, what are your takes on this?
So this is kind of interesting just because it's like it is in the childhood home, which is the beginning, your security, where everything forms. It's where we come from. The mother is there for protection, but says, here's a knife, protect yourself. And then with the guy who takes, or the thing who takes the knife and then cuts himself, that's almost like a reflection of, you can't do any more harm to me than I can do to myself. Because he takes the knife and he cuts his own face, which means he's doing harm on himself. And then the water blood is like more like, haha, see, you can't hurt me more than I can hurt myself. And it's like, and that's the way I think it's watered down, is that, it's that reflection of, that self-sabotage. So that's what I was getting from it, was more of the self-sabotage. You can't hurt me more than I can hurt myself. Nobody's here to protect me.
Well, and I think this is all very interesting, because it's like there's a little of that when I'm looking at this dream, and of course I have the advantage because I printed it out and I get to read it 500 times and go back and reflect why each of you are talking about it. This is interesting because, when we look at what our parents' role is, You know, it is protecting us, but it's also teaching us, like, you got to have these certain techniques and you got to be able to do these certain things, like to be a productive member or a contributing member or whatever. So it's interesting that sometimes mom is frantic and sometimes helpful. I found that to be fascinating because, like, when we look at these events in our life, there are sometimes when our people are like, oh my gosh, this is happening to you. And then there's other times when they're really helpful, you know, at getting things worked through. And you're like, well, that was much easier. But it's also sometimes there's this panic that kicks in is, did we teach everything we needed to? Did we learn everything that we needed to? So that franticness to me represents, have you learned everything that you were supposed to? Now, it's interesting that it would be in your childhood home, but it doesn't look the same, but it feels like it is. Now, that to me tells me that there has been a lot of changing, whether it has been, you know, through own personal growth and development, whether it's been forced through situation and events, or, you know, that kind of stuff. So the other thing that I found fascinating about this is that there's a man there, but you don't know who it is, and he's just fighting with you violently. Sometimes the processes of what we experience through our own growth and understanding can sometimes feel very violent. Like when we go through things, it seems very violent. And this to me is like that self-sabotage. Most of the time when we experience a violence in our dream, I would agree, it is about self-sabotage, because it's there to snap us to attention, like, pay attention to this, don't repeat it. Him laughing maniacally, oh my gosh. To me, it's like, you know, what is it? There's this term that was used in that movie 300 where it is blood drunk from rage, from, you know, that kind of stuff. And I think that term can be used because it's like literally, like, are you going to get mad about it? Are you going to become so enraged about what's going on that you're going to be just revengeful? Or are you going to turn and you're going to let it go and learn how to heal it in a healthy manner? So I think there's a lot of aspects about this dream. I know that we're getting close to the end of our time here, but I'm hoping that everybody can stay on for just a little bit longer. We have one more dream. Can everybody do that? No, Cherry can't? Yes. Okay. No, it's fine. Don't feel bad. Cherry, thank you for joining us today, and we'll be catching you next time. If you want, you're more than welcome to hang around and listen to it. It's up to you, but if you disappear, then know that we love you. Okay. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Cherry. All right, so this last dream, it says, I'm at an invention competition. Okay, this I find, because I'm already like, I'm very curious about this. Competition / demo in an auditorium where they are showing an invention some high school friends, only we're adults. So high school projects, I'm guessing, are being shown, and that I had made. It was a t-shirt that you okay, I apologize. Let me try again here. It was a t-shirt that you attach actual toy vehicles and lets you play classic video games in real life. Now that would be interesting. Afterwards, I am hugging everyone in the group goodbye, and the screen print from our shirts is suddenly wet and gets all over each other. It feels like I am saying goodbye to go home, but the next thing I know, I am running around a carnival that also seems like a mall. I'm trying to find the vehicles to make the same shirts. I am lost and running everywhere, even the cleaning crew maintenance areas. Interesting. At one point, I ask one of the workers, what time is it? He says, just look at the clock behind you. I turn around and there is no clock, but there is a tall metal old style tower machine of some sort. I tell him I don't see anything, and he attaches a metal box of some kind to it, then shines a flashlight up into the tower and says, See, that's the time. But I still never see anything. Now I'm running around looking for the toy cars again, and I go into a store that looks like they might have them. I go up to an employee to ask, and a bunch of people cut in line in front of me, acting like they're all a part of an important group that needs to go first. But I can feel that they are not that important. Finally, I get to the front of the line and I wake up. Now, if I need to read it again, please let me know. This one I find very, very fascinating. An invention competition demo in an auditorium. That is interesting to me. Okay, so Michelle, we're going to start with you. What's your take on some of this information that's coming through?
So the invention is all about creating and creation. I will have to look at like, what is this person doing within their life that they're, and the auditorium is a very informal place. And so, I mean, even when in high school, when you use the auditorium for a dance, it's very informal. Not a lot of people care, you know? So it's like, okay, so what are you creating that not everyone is trying, like people are not wanting to respond to? And then the cars and looking around for them, it's like, okay, what are you missing in your life that you're going searching for? What is it that you're missing? What are you searching for? What is it that you feel like you need to bring whole? It was interesting with the flashlight and the tower, because it was like, oh, I'm going to shine the light for you. And yet he still couldn't see with the light there through the dark. And so that's the one thing I got that was really interesting was like, oh, it's dark. They're shining the light and you're still not seeing it. So what is it in the dark that you have to clear away yet in order to really see the light and what the light is trying to show this person?
I get that. I get that. Lisa, what's your take on it?
Well, I agree with Michelle, and I think that the high school friends being collaborators has to do with friendship and collaboration, and the hugging is the joy in doing this with beloveds. The water and the wetness that came through from the hugging has to do with emotion, which generates more power behind any creativity or creation. So, to create together, it's a lot more than the mental aspects. It's about the heart and the joy and the emotions that you put into that creation. And that launched this person into the carnival experience where you're right. They were looking, trying to find their way back to their invention. It was almost like the carnival was introduced as a means of distraction, right? Taking them away from this joy and simplicity of being with friends, creating joyfully in love and feeling all of that goodness to look at this cotton candy and here's this bright shiny thing. And meanwhile, where's the little cars that are part of my invention that what happened? And he's looking for the time. And every time he does, he discovers that the clock doesn't exist. So I kind of got this vibe that maybe this person feels like it's too late for him, her to do something creative that they would like to do with friends, or, maybe he feels that friends would be helpful and it would be fun to work with some people in his life hers, to make something happen. But there's something about, well, maybe I'm too old for that. Maybe it's too late for me to start something new and take this different direction that's more about play and fun and games. And so the guy that's trying to show the light is like, here's the time. And they look up and there's no time. And so the Black Tower for me represented this heavy, oppressive, you can't do that. It's too late. Time's up. No, no. And when she looked up, and saw that there was no time. To me, that was all about, what are you waiting for? Do it. Just do it. Take control. Create. Have fun. Play.
Well, and to me, it's like those are very, very significant things when we start looking at that. The first thing that kind of popped into my mind when I was reading through this is okay, you've got space. To make any real change, to do any real thing, you need to have that space to think, the space to kind of process, and this space to kind of be alone. Now, does that mean that everything in your life can be shoved away or turned off or put at bay while you're doing this? For some of us, we can. For others, we can't. Who are you inviting to your party? Because even though there's somebody that's trying to be helpful, are you taking their advice? Because sometimes it's kind of like Michelle said, I'm shining a light for you and you can't see the time. What's going on there? So it's kind of, one of those things where it's like, if somebody points it out to you, are you going to be able to see it? This is a self-realization. I think the carnival is a distraction. I think there's been many distractions in this person's life. And I find it's interesting that the shirt, you attach an actual toy car to it and it lets you play that classic video game in real life. I find that interesting because when we're looking for something, a new avenue, a new aspect of self, a new go-to, a new therapy, a new treatment, a new anything, when we're looking for that kind of stuff, then why are we playing old stuff? Why are we playing old stuff? And classic video games, I like that term just because of the plain fact that it's like, how am I trying to dress up my old crap? It's retro, it's aged. It's, it's specially designed now, and all that kind of stuff. No matter what you do, when you try to shine it up, it's still it's just shiny crap. Then, so when we're looking at that kind of stuff, like really, it's time to get things in order. It's time to get some balance out of that chaos that has been created. And it's time to like get some space to be able to do that. The last part kind of just cracks me up because there's this group that you can feel that they feel like they're important, and then you get up there and they're not. And then you wake up when you get to the front of the line. It tells me that it's like there's been a lot of worry about opinions that don't even matter. Opinions have been dominating the life, living your life as other people expect you to live it rather than within truth. But it's also one of those things I'm going to caution here, because sometimes when we start diving into our newfound self, people think they need to give up every single relationship that is in their life. You don't have to do that. It takes care of itself naturally. But when you're looking to heal aspects of yourself, you should always do it with the best outcome for not only you, but those around you. Because if you're improving for yourself, why does everybody have to go away? That's not improvement. That's the ability to push everybody away because of. So it's about learning how to honor self with honoring everybody else. That's how the group comes in, because if you want to bring in a group, you need to bring in the right group. And sometimes it is just about making sure that you're not living other people's opinions. And it doesn't mean you have to be mean or anything like that. You can just be like, thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate it. Validate the person that their opinion was their opinion, and then decide, is it important, is it not important, and then wake up. Right?
I'm in a master class of that right now.
So I think that it's very interesting when we have dreams like this, and I'm glad that we have the opportunities to be able to kind of mold them over, because it's nice to hear the different aspects, and there's a lot of aspects in every dream that everybody agrees on. They represent the same thing. So sometimes in just maybe writing out your dreams, you can find a lot of symbolism gets discovered, gets understood, and then can be put into perspective. If you are wanting to work through issues, you have a group of people that are very willing and able to help you out. It's you picking somebody that you're comfortable with. It's you being able to pick somebody that you feel is going to help. Make sure that you're getting the people that really jive with you, because it is critical. Wouldn't you agree, ladies?
Yes.
We want to help. We want to be helpful in the most healthiest of ways. That is a two-part thing. 2 parts, us and you. So all of us have some very unique gifts and talents. We have some great insight. And it is a group of people that really do want to help and see you succeed. So the next time that we do a dream roundtable, of course, send your dreams to us. You can email them to us. You can instant message them to us. And we'll be happy to take a look and see what we can come up with. Just as final parting words, Michelle, what have you got to add? And by the way, thank you so much for hosting this event for us again.
You're so welcome. So I will be in Cheyenne this weekend at the High Spirit Holistic Fair at the Red Lions Inn on Saturday and Sunday. So if you're in the Cheyenne area, stop on by. Come take a look to see who's all there.
Perfect. Oh my gosh. And Lisa, thank you for participating once again and being here. Any last words?
Not so much. Just what I would like everyone to really understand is that you have everything inside of you that you need to heal yourself. And you really can trust yourself. And if you need some assistance or you feel overwhelmed or uncertain, reach out for the help and agree completely with Althea. Make sure that you feel really, really good around that person. Like feel comfortable being with that person and secure in that relationship that you have, the energy when you walk away from that person, having spent time with them. How do you feel in your inside? And those are really important flags to consider. If you don't feel good or you feel really defeated, that's definitely not the right person for you. But you have everything inside of here in your heart that can help to guide and take you through this process of healing the self.
Very good. Yes, go ahead. Yes, definitely. Well, and I'm very thankful for this group. It has been most insightful to be with such insightful people. That's the whole thing. Like being able to express and understand and help and dive into some of these things really does kind of just spark, right? And I love that. So Michelle, good luck at the Holistic Affair event. I shouldn't say affair. At the event, and make sure you tell everybody that we say hi, Angie and Robert. Let them know that we are thinking about them. We're sending good vibes their way so you guys can have a most excellent event this weekend in Cheyenne. And of course, yes, anytime we have events, we will try to get them to you so that if they're in your area, you can participate. So until next time, ladies, thank you very much, and we'll see you all